Good evening, council and staff and members of the public. Welcome to the Town Council meeting of July 23rd, 2024. And I will turn this over to the Deputy Mayor to read the land acknowledgement.
Good evening. I would like to acknowledge that Wolfville is situated in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and as such ask that we conduct our business with the 7 sacred teachings in mind: truth, honesty, love, courage, respect, wisdom, and humility.
Thank you. And just before the approval of the agenda, we are going to add an in-camera under section 22-2, section H, public security. Is there anything else, CAO, that we are adding? Okay. Deputy Mayor, the motion to approve the agenda with that change, addition.
I would move that we approve the agenda for this evening's meeting with one addition, the in-camera section under section 22 of the Public Security of the MGA. That's Municipal Government Act.
Great, thank you.
I'll approve that.
Thank you.
Or I'll second that.
Second that, okay. Councillor Butler seconds that. Now, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. And like you predicted, thank you. And when we were jovial tonight, we have 3 minutes to go through. The first one is from the Town Council meeting of June 25th, 2024. Mayor.
I would like to move that we approve the Town Council minutes of the meeting on June 25th, 2024.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councilor Madeira Voss. Were there any errors or omissions in those minutes that anybody found? No. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are passed. And the Town Council in-camera meeting of June 25th, 2024.
I would move that we approve the Town Council in-camera meeting minutes of June 25, 2024.
Thank you. A seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Palmer. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are passed. And special joint council meeting July 4th.
I'd like to move that we approve the special joint council meeting minutes of July 4, 2024.
The seconder, please. Councillor Ingham, thank you. Any additions, errors, changes to those? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed. All right, we have a number of comments tonight, and I'd like to start first with welcoming our new CAO, Glenn Horn. We're so glad to have you here, and hope that you have a wonderful time over many years in the town of Wolfville. And I'd also just like to take a moment and thank both Laura and Beth, who were our acting interim CAOs for a 2-week period. So thank you for that. And then I will turn this over to the Deputy Mayor, who has a few things to do and say.
I certainly do. This is a fun one. We have 2 individuals seated in the audience tonight who are nominated as Volunteer of the Year for the town of Wolfville. The 2 of them, James Skinner and Steve Wilsack, have both contributed hugely in terms of the homelessness in our community. So first of all, James, who purposely set out to aid the homeless in Wolfville and also the wider province this winter. Despite his own health issues, he met with the unhoused under winter conditions and sought Eskimo tents to provide better shelter for 2 individuals wanting to be in Wolfville. To raise awareness, James documented the increasingly challenging situation with his camera in various encampments, not just here, with our duo, and quietly lobbied politicians and service providers. James, who has a background in the tech industry, I guess you could say, has also contributed hugely in a very quiet way in terms of IT, Acadia University's electronic signage, for example, he got up and running. And also just lately, he's been upgrading the Al Whittle Theater's software. And this is something he just does. And I think that we are wise to acknowledge those who contribute in that quiet way. Steve Wilsack is not particularly loud, but he has a similar passion for aiding the homeless. He spent most of the winter in the Grand Parade in Halifax, satisfying the many needs of the unhoused sleeping in summer tents. He told someone in the media that he can still recall his reaction to seeing those lightweight tents set up in midwinter or mid-November cold. His two-word phrase was sheer horror. He chose to live in a tent himself, along with a friend who was similarly helping, in order to be on hand when needed. He helped fill the Grand Parade with warmer ice fishing shelters and acted as a spokesman for those who could not speak for themselves. And that's because he cares passionately. Since leaving the Grand Parade Square, he has started a group, an organization, a nonprofit called the Housing First Society of Nova Scotia. He's working with Dalhousie Architecture and others to explore micro housing as a prototype for social housing. He also wants to advocate for backyard suites. He believes firmly that we need action on this front now, and we can help. But the red tape is pretty daunting. So I would like to ask these two gentlemen to stand up, and we're going to present two awards. Maybe you'd like to pass one on.
I wonder if we want to get a picture with all of council?
How do you want to do it, Barb? I think we could certainly.
Don't have to, but I just wondered that.
Would that be comfortable for folks to do that? So then maybe what we can do is just get folks to kind of gather here. Maybe we'll create an informal horseshoe here. Yeah, just kind of making a little bit of a horseshoe here and then James is starting to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Can't stand by Steve for the same shirt. We totally are.
We're not gonna tell you. Steve and James, so that we. I'll go behind. We need Councilor Palmer, do you want to go over to the side?
We're in a different.
Your shirt's fine. I'm just gonna. Oh, I'm right. No, news-wise, you tuck yourself in. Oh, sorry, like this. Okay. Steve, my photos are not as good as yours.
Yeah.
I love that. School feels like. Thanks you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for.
And thanks to Nick Zamora, who got this all organized.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and congratulations, Steve and James. You have been very important to our community this year and many years before, but this year has been particularly impressive to see the things that you have done. I have two other things I want to say. First is just to remind everybody that this is our birthday coming up this weekend. It's Mud Creek Days starting at the Oven on Thursday night. I think it's from 6 to 8. And then on Friday, Friday, we have the street party. I was trying to think, 6:30 to 9, thank you. And then you're all ready? Clock Park.
Have to go far.
Clock Park, so we'll be closing Main Street down for that, so that should be fun. Clock Park for Mudley's birthday, 10:30 on Saturday morning, and then, of course, the always fun Mud Creek Challenge, and then a concert in the waterfront park and fireworks. And I think on Sunday, there is quite an amazing play for kids and families at the El Whittle. And I think Randall House is doing a historic walk
Barbecue,
and
historic
at
walk.
10:30. So hope to see many people there on this weekend. It should be a lot of fun. Just before we get into the rest of our meeting, I did want to take a minute and ask that we have a quiet reflection for the young teenager who lost his life on July 11th. I know it has, that incident has touched many people, certainly his family and his friends. I had the opportunity to meet his teachers the Sunday after, and I know our first responders have also been touched, and this has been a difficult time for many people in the community. And while work is still ongoing to look at how that happened and how we will do our best that things like that don't happen again. I just think for this 1 minute, we will think about Eli and think about what young children like that mean to our community. So just a moment of quiet reflection, please. Thank you. We have, the next part of our agenda is public input, and I wonder if we have any members of the public who wish to speak to council. If you do, if you would just come up to the mic, state your name and your address, and then you have 5 minutes to speak to council. We don't typically, it's not a question and answer. If there's a question that needs an answer, we'll generally direct that to staff and get back to you unless it's an easy answer, a yes or no answer. So do we have anybody who would like to speak to council this evening? David or Laura, do we have? Oh, yes, certainly. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Wilsack, 239 Main Street in Wolfville. Here at my lovely wife, Jan, 38 years. We've lived here for been in Wolfville for over 40 years. Wife's been here for over 55 years. And I must say, this is the most amazing town in the province of Nova Scotia and beyond. I just love it so much. I'm touched by the community. I'm touched by our council. I'm touched by two ladies, Wendy and Wendy, that really are genuinely sincere, and they believe in a lot of things that are going on in this wonderful town. And as this award recognition both unhoused has forever changed my life. And in terms of Wolfville, I walk by the tracks almost every day. And as much as I see the beauty, and the beauty is tremendous here, we have 4 individuals in our town, and I've spoken to them. James has spoken to them. And I firmly believe that people in front of me can make a difference and make that situation go away. And I will do everything in my heart to ensure that that happens. And I know that the people here will do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak to council? Do we have anybody online? All right, seeing no one else, then we will move on to motions for those who may be watching us online or for the residents in the gallery. Our council has dealt with all but the last two items that are on our agenda at Committee of the Whole. So most of the discussion in council takes place during Committee of the Whole. That does not mean that I will give council a chance to comment again or to ask questions. But if we don't, it's because everybody around the table feels that it has been discussed. So I just share that for people who might be watching council for the first time. So the first item is RFD 40/2024, the Roby Tufts Porta Potty. First I'll ask staff, does anybody want to add anything from staff? Members of council, are there any questions or comments on that item? Then I'll ask if somebody could put the motion, Deputy Mayor, on the floor.
I would move that council approve an extension to the lease of the porta potty at Roby Tufts Park for an additional 4 months until October 31st, 2024.
And a seconder, please. Councillor Madeira Voss, and I'm sorry I did this a bit out of order, but I'll ask now, does anybody have anything that they'd like to say on this item? No, are we ready for the question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye, opposed, that is passed. And the next item is RFD 041/2024 Equity and Anti-Racism Plan Advisory Committee.
The second part.
Oh, my apologies, my apologies. Do I have a mover for the second part of that? Thank you. Councillor Madeira Voss.
I would move the council approve moving the management of this file to staff in accordance with provision of portable toilets in other town locations.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Butler, are there any comments on this item? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that's passed. There's another one.
I'll move it.
Okay, Councillor McKay.
Thank you. I would move that a strategic look at permanent washing facilities within the town be looked at as part of the upcoming budget process.
Thank you. And a seconder for that one, please. Councillor Ingham. Any comments or question? You can go next. Okay, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Okay, now we are at RFD 041/2024 Equity and Anti-Racism Plan and Advisory Committee. Councillor Ingham, would you like to move on?
Yes, I would. I would move that council approve the establishment of an Equity and Anti-Racism Advisory Committee with the terms of reference to be brought forward to council for approval at the September Committee of the Whole.
Councillor Butler,
I'll
would you like to
second
second it? Okay. Staff, any comments that you wish to make? No? Are there any questions of staff from council? Or any comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That is also passed. And RFD 039/2024 of Valley Waste Resource Management Debt Guarantee for 2024 to 25 capital program. Either the chair of audit or the alternate on Valley Waste. Pick. Okay,
It was my fault because I said I'd read it here, so I was
Okay.
hoping she would have forgot. I would move that council guarantees a share of the Valley Waste Resource Management Authority's temporary borrowing resolution capital for fiscal, that should be fiscal year 2024-25 in the amount of $1,735,000 with Wolfels guarantee repayment share being 8.76% equal to the amount of $151,986 as per attached partner guarantee resolution form.
thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Madeira Voss. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on that item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye, opposed? That's passed. And one-time operational funding request Rugby Nova Scotia. Counselor,
I can do that.
you can do that. Thanks, Jody.
I would move that council approve a $5,000 one-time operational grant contribution to Rugby Nova Scotia to support the hosting of the 2024 Canadian Rugby Championships.
Okay, thank you. And a seconder, please. Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any comments or questions from council? No, okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye, opposed? That's passed. And IR 014-2024 municipal election campaigning lawn signs. Councillor McKay. Info report? Okay,
There's no motion.
there's no motion, but we are adding that.
That's council's wish. We can add them.
Okay, that's where I was confused because how do we know if it's council's wish without a motion? All right. So some guidance in how we formally give staff direction to do that, put that on.
What's direction?
There was already?
Martin was just, that was okay with you. basically.
Okay,
Everyone.
so we don't, all right.
You're happy with it.
Okay, all right.
What did we do?
Hint. Advice or suggestion. Wasn't it? It's not. All right, on to new business. RFD 037-2024 building official appointment, Amanda Brown. Director Lake, did you want to provide us some information as it's new business?
Good evening. I just thought it would be appropriate just to come up here briefly and address these items. They are new to the agenda, so we didn't have a chance to have a discussion at Committee of the Whole. This one is relatively quick and is just really positive staff news. We've been training Amanda for a number of years, 2-3 years at least. And yeah, so she's achieved another certification within the building inspections world. We have been leaning heavily on her to get our fire inspections program to a better place. But with James being really busy in the summer months, some of the bigger files that we have coming in, it allows Amanda to do some of the smaller projects and take some pressure off James. So that's kind of the background to this in a nutshell, and I'll leave it at that.
Are there any questions of staff? We do have a motion. Councillor Madeira Voss.
I would move the council appoint Amanda Brown as a building official pursuant to section 5(2) of the Building Code Act, chapter 46 of the revised statutes 1989.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor McKay. Again, any comments from council? Ready for the question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed. And the last one, RFD 043-2024 land disposal, a portion of road reserve on Bishop Avenue.
I'm just going to jump down. Picture's worth 1,000 words. So this has been quite a few years going back before my time with the town, that this sort of issue has been ongoing. So we have Brian and Jill here with us this evening. They're the landowners that we're dealing with in this context. So there is a road reserve there that was put in place for future access. We went through our East End secondary planning, and this was always sort of in the background as part of this, subject to seeing how things played out on the ground. So Alex and I have looked at this. We've had our engineering tech go out. We still have lots of room to do what we may need to do in the future, even if we needed to pull services through there. So we're very comfortable with this. The bigger part of the decision coming out of the Municipal Government Act is really around council sort of deciding to dispose at a high level, but also the process in which we go through to do that. So some of you would have been involved in disposal before with the town, and we would have gone and got an appraisal to do that. In this context, just where there is an existing easement agreement, improvements on the land, staff are suggesting that we just do this for the cost of kind of doing business, which would be relatively low, probably a few $1,000s for surveying and some legal fees. So this isn't a significant land sale, but the improvements, as I say, are already there. There's a paved driveway and a shed that's in that area. And finally, I'll just say that there, from the homeowner's perspective, just speaking with them and meeting with them a number of times up there, I think there is a sense of urgency around doing some improvements while the development in the East End is happening. So there's some grade change. They want to move some buildings, and they obviously want certainty around long-term improvements, other improvements that they may want to do to their property. So yeah, that's this one in a nutshell. And there is a motion associated with this. I can take questions.
Right, thank you. Before we get the motion from Councillor Madeira Voss, are there any questions of staff? No? Well, it seems planning.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
had my light on,
Yes.
that I'd forgotten, so. Okay, I will move the council approve the sale of an 8-meter wide portion of the road reserve located between 63 and 75 Bishop Avenue as shown in attachment 1 at a price to be determined that will recover the associated subdivision surveying and transactional costs.
Thank you. Councillor Palmater, second that. Are there any comments by council? Yes.
I just want to be clear, like, at the end of the day, that we still maintain part of that right away, that we're not. I
That's
don't know,
correct. Yeah.
How much do we have left?
I believe it's 16 meters and we're basically splitting it in half. Yeah, we have a preliminary survey out there, so there will be a more precise piece of work that's done, but I think the drawing in there is pretty much what we're going to end up with.
Councillor Ingham, do you have a question?
Thank you.
Comment? No,
Did
question
you-
or comment?
I do have a comment in the question. I did drive by your property, so to have a look, it does make sense to me. If I was living there, I'd want to have the same level of privacy too. I live on an easement too, so I just have one question. Councillor Palmer just asked, so we're not covering the whole cost like of the easement? Like what's the percentage of who would own the easement and how does that work out for maintenance?
So we will still own the trail connection and we will maintain that and cover the cost of that, but they will have ownership of a piece of land that up until this point, there's been very limited usage rights on subject to this agreement. So they could pave their driveway, they could put a shed there, basically do what they've done. Yeah, and they would like to do more and, you know, have
So
that
we'll-
certainty long-term.
So we maintain the whole easement then? Like, so
The
I'm
pe-
still
It will be
confused.
divided in half.
Divided, okay, so the
They will
percentage
then
is
own,
50-50?
they will then own half of it
Okay,
and the town will remain ownership over the other half.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sort of, it just doesn't, it's not what I do on our easement, but that's okay. It just.
Where you're living is very different.
No, I
context than
just
this, yeah.
had a question because there was like, sometimes easements get tricky, so that was my question on things. That's all. But I understand now.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Ready for the question? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that's passed. And I believe that brings us to the end of our formal agenda, but we are going to go in camera. So if I could have from someone a motion to go in camera.
So move.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Councillor McKay. All those in favor? Aye. All right. We are in camera and I guess staff who are going to remain know who they are.